Hey everyone, today I want to talk a little bit about what Wizards of the Coast doesn't want you to know. So when it comes to copyrights, it's important to remember two things. One, I am not a copyright lawyer, so if you have anything that you feel is questionable, you're definitely going to want to consult with an expert. And two, there is a difference between game mechanics and game content. Game mechanics are the idea for the game, and they are the rules about how that game is going to be played. Game content is the actual implementation of that idea and those rules. So let's look at this in terms of a story. Let's say that you have an idea for a story about someone that is struggling with some personal issues, and they are sent to a remote area to deal with a group that their leaders say are the enemy. The person instead gets to know these people and eventually becomes part of that group and fights alongside them. This is an idea. It cannot be copyrighted because there is nothing to copyright. But if we take that idea and we turn it into Dances with Wolves or Avatar, now we have implemented that idea into something, and each of those can be copyrighted individually while the original idea still cannot. Or the idea of a mysterious rich person that builds something everybody loves, but this person needs an heir, so they set up a series of challenges to test those potential candidates. Only the one that passes the challenges will win the ultimate prize. This is, again, an idea that was implemented in both Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Ready Player One. An example from the gaming world is Monopoly. The mechanics of the game are you roll 2d6 and move your token the indicated number of squares around the game board. You then take actions based on the square that you landed on. This can include buying something or paying for something or drawing a card and taking additional steps. Once you circle the board, you collect a reward and the process repeats until somebody wins. This is a mechanic. It cannot be copyrighted. The mechanic has been used in dozens or hundreds or thousands of games predating Monopoly. But the artwork, the visual elements of the game board, the squares representing the streets of Atlantic City, the tokens with very specific designs, the text on the cards, these are all implementations of that idea and those rules, and they can be copyrighted. So how does all this relate to Dungeons & Dragons and Wizards of the Coast? Everything I just mentioned is what Wizards of the Coast is careful to not tell you. They are perfectly content to have you believe that anyone who makes a tabletop fantasy role-playing game is beholden to them. They certainly make it a point to tell you what they do own, but they make no realistic attempt to tell you what they don't own. And why would they? If people are confused about where the line is, then they will pay royalties to Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards will happily collect that money, even though a lot of that content uses nothing that Wizards actually owns. So let's look at role-playing games specifically. Tabletop role-playing game mechanics include things like rolling dice to determine outcomes, creating characters to represent players in the game, assigning abilities and skills to those characters, moving tokens around a board to deal with different situations, distributing items to those characters to change what abilities they have, fighting fantastical creatures, collecting experience points, finding treasures, leveling up to get new abilities. These are all mechanics. Wizards owns no copyright on them. These mechanics are used in tons of other games like Pandemic and Gloom and Catan and Small World and Elder Sign and on and on and on. What Wizards does own is the stuff that they implement. The artwork, the visual style of their books, the descriptions, stats, and abilities of specific monsters, the descriptions and stats for specific items, the specific level progressions for different classes in the game, the descriptions of specific abilities and feats, worlds they create like Forgotten Realms and Eberron, maps, monsters that are unique to Dungeons & Dragons like Beholders and Mind Flayers. All the things where they took the mechanics and the idea and actually created something with it. But remember that they don't even own terms like Goblin, Kobold, Drow, Duergar, Basilisk, Dragon, Will-O-Wisp, or even Tarrasque. These are all things from folklore. You can use the mechanics and create your own version of a goblin. As long as it is different from what Wizards already created, then your implementation is just as copyrightable as theirs is. The open game license is for the stuff listed in the system reference document, and only for that stuff. If your content only uses the common role-playing game mechanics that are used in tons of other games and does not use anything from the system reference document or the published books, then what you've created belongs to you and not to Wizards of the Coast. Again, if you feel that you're in a gray area, then always consult with an expert. But be mindful that Wizards of the Coast does not own nearly as much as they might have you believe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Until next time, take care.